For some time, in fact for a number of years, I've been wanting to document kind of paranormal aspects of Ireland. It's a very mystical country. There are parts of it you go into and you can feel the history of it. Sounds very dramatic and maybe a bit over the top, but there are atmospheres almost like a veil, like between current state and a past state. You can definitely feel. And I decided to do this inaugural mini pilot, because that's all it is. And it's rough and ready. There's no mad expertise gone into this, certainly technically. But if nothing else, I wanted to capture a place at a time that would probably scare quite a lot of people. What can it be but after midnight, of course. And for this foray, we decided upon the HELLFIRE Club in Dublin. Now, it's notorious amongst Dubliners, and indeed increasingly so I see kind of internationally, as a place of kind of pilgrimage, you know, to paranormal and to hauntings and to evil spots and all that kind of place. But in reality, it's simply a hunting lodge, probably some 300 years old at this stage, if not more or less bit. But its positioning up on top of Montpellier Hill, and there is a fair old hike up to it. And indeed, we did film some of it, didn't use it. But the hike up, which is, I don't know, 20-25 minutes, it's steep enough and it can be tiring. But what I found so atmospheric was before we actually arrived up there, the rustling in the trees at night. And myself and my best friend, and indeed cameraman on this occasion, albeit we were only packing like a kind of mobile and some very basic stuff, Steve, we hiked up there and we arrived around midnight on the 26th of November 2021. Now, it is sometimes frequented by probably drug users or drunks, or indeed from time to time devil worshippers or that kind of esoteric type. So you will hear me announce myself very brave. Is there anybody there? You know, it's easy to be brave when you've got your best mate who's a toughie and his dog with him. Believe me, I wouldn't have been shouting that loud had I been on my own. But more than anything, I want you to, you know, of course, read up or Google all about it. Yeah, I'm going to be upfront with you. Nothing amazing in terms of the paranormal happened up there at all. You know, I laugh when I see some of these crazy, like, Americans come over and their little ghost meter apps are flying into the red, and they're screaming and roaring about all the things they, you know, have experienced. I think a lot of it personally is hype and maybe people just being too open to suggestion. When we got up there, you'll see what happened. But more than anything, I'm trying to get across to you just a feel of that place, of those stone walls which were largely created from a 3,500-year-old burial chamber just behind the building. And hence there's a lot of association, because the guy, the lord or whatever he was, who originally built the HELLFIRE Club, you know, wantonly went in and he carried out a destruction to take the stone from that megalithic tomb and use it for his hunting lodge. And so there are all kinds of stories. It's not that I am pouring cold water on anybody else's experiences, because I have a very open mind, considering what happened to me as a kid in what was Portobello Barracks in Dublin, very old, dates from around 1815, to Cahill Barracks as it was when I lived there for 25 years. So I hope to document that as well, because something very interesting happened to me when I went back there 2 or 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I think. And I have a member of the Defence Forces who will probably aid and abet me on that, and hopefully I'll be back with you on some of that. That's another story, but it's the genesis as to why I'm interested in this stuff. Because I saw something and will go to my grave saying what I saw. But anyway, here's a mini pilot for Scary Eire. If you like the vibe of this, do click that subscribe button. We will be back, we'll be doing more of these, and we'll let you know when we're doing them. And we'll have better equipment, we'll have night vision, we'll have proper cameras, etc. I had to expedite this because Steve might be going to the States soon, and I just wanted to grab him because I sure as hell was not going to come up here at 1 AM by myself. Okay, are we ready to go inside? Alright. I don't know what that is, possibly a wine cellar. There's a lot of wine connected with this place. A lot of drink, a lot of carousing, a lot of black magic. Hello? Anybody here? Hello? Okay. You just don't know because this building has elements of fringe elements, kind of devil worshippers, etc. The devil has a long history associated with this building. So let's talk about some of these characters. Okay, so they were basically hellraisers, hence the name the Hellfire Club. They existed in England as well. In here, there were such characters as Lord Santry. He was notorious for dueling. Apparently he had a pistol grip which had like etchings on it as to everybody that he'd killed in duels. There was another notorious character called Simon Luttrell, and apparently there are books written on just what a boyo he was, you know. When Lord Santry, I think it may have been him, was certainly connected with 2 murders. One was the carrier of his, I think it was him anyway, of his sedan chair, if you don't mind. And the man was sick one day and couldn't carry the chair, and Lord Santry, also aka Henry Barry, apparently poured brandy or whiskey all over him, set the guy alight, burnt him alive. He was also found guilty of a murder of a guy, I don't know what his second name was, Lachlan, and he went to trial and he was going to hang for it, but being well connected as he was, he got away with murder, quite literally. It did help that his uncle apparently ran the water supply into Dublin and said that there would be hell to pay if anything happened to his nephew. So it just wasn't good for the aristocracy, and that's what we're talking about here, to be seen to be common criminals, which, let's face it, a lot of them were. Okay, fantastic panoramic view. I can't emphasize that enough. There's talk of this place being redeveloped. I don't know how real or imaginary that is. So, we have the Earl of Ross connected with here, Lord Santry and Simon Luttrell. All hellraisers in their own right. Apparently Earl Ross, or the Earl of Ross, he would see clergymen when they came to visit him, he would appear in the nude to greet them. That's the respect that he had for the clergy. So there was a lot of mocking of religion and black masses, etc., associated with this place, and as a result it gained a reputation. Some very curious locals came up one day, crept up to see the shenanigans that were going on in here. And apparently they were spotted, and they threw what I think is called spalpeen down on top of the locals. No, they didn't, I tell a lie. They threw it on a cat. Spalpeen is a mixture of hot butter and whiskey. And they set the cat alight, and like a scalded cat, quite literally, it ran out amongst the locals, who were horrified at this fiery, flaming, flambéed apparition heading at them. So that's the kind of people you were dealing with. Right behind the building, as I said, is a megalithic tomb. It dates between 3,000 and 5,000 years old, which probably makes it older than, Steve, what's the one in Meath? Newgrange.
Newgrange.
I keep forgetting that. So you had bodies buried here as well.